Hey everybody, how's it going? This is going to be a book ramble video, so you don't have to pay attention to it visually. You can just listen. It's just going to be the cover of this book. So go about your business, whatever you're going to do, paint some models, surf the web, whatever it is, and just listen. You don't have to watch. But this is a book ramble on Fear to Tread by James Swallow of the Horus Heresy novel series. Book number 21 of the Horus Heresy series thus far, which is kind of cool. I know it doesn't feel like 21 books. It definitely feels like it was less than that, which I guess is a good thing. But Fear to Tread, the Angel Falls. Oh, ooh. But this is a book about the Blood Angels Legion and Sanguinus. As you can tell by the cover, which you've been staring at, they're fighting demons. This is a battle that isn't new in the Horus Heresy timeline. If you are a fan of the Horus Heresy and if you've been doing your research, which you probably are due to curiosity, you know about this battle of Cygnus, the Cygnus sector, or whatever it is. This is when, to give you the plot summary of the book without giving anything away, the Blood Angels Legion is sent to this sector by Horus to deal with an uprising, quote unquote, or deal with an enemy. Unbeknownst to them, it's a trap set up by Horus to ensnare the Blood Angels Legion and basically destroy them. And the Blood Angels must then survive the trap, fight their way out of it, all the while coming to revelation of this great heresy and treachery going on. So that's the basic plot of the book. And so it's nothing new. It's not a new battle if you're a fan of the Heresy series and been doing your research on it. But then again, the Horus Heresy isn't something new. I mean, to people who are fans of 40k or just fans of the fluff, it's not a new thing. In fact, Warhammer 40,000 takes place 10,000 years after the Horus Heresy, so you kind of know how it ends and know what happens after the fact. It's more about reading the nitty-gritty details and getting a story out of it. So that's what this is about. Now, timeline-wise, they kind of make reference to certain events during the Horus Heresy that kind of help giving you a frame of reference in terms of timeline. And I would say the novel picks up, the main timeline of this book is pretty much, I would say, shortly after the Drop Set Massacre to right around Prospero burning. That kind of time frame is what it goes through in this book. There are a couple of flashbacks, if you will, kind of things. I don't know what else to call them, but then a flashback that are very obvious where they're going back in time to, and are very short, so you don't have to worry about really getting lost. Now, you get to see Sanguinus in action a bit, which is always cool. I'm a fan of Sanguinus. And with that, you get to see him being all awesome in close combat, all awesome in fighting in general, being a Primarch. It's always cool to read about the Primarchs a bit. And he's one of my favorites because he looks like an angel. He's all angelic looking, which I always like and I think is pretty cool. And on top of that, you get to see his abilities that he has. He's got basically kind of a precognition type of thing going on. It's a mixture between Spider-Man's Spidey sense and Jedi's and their capability to have premonitions. So it's kind of like a mixture between the two, which is cool, and you get to see that kind of in action as well. Overall, the book is an enjoyable read, and I read through it pretty quickly, actually. I just haven't had time to do a video on it until recently. But there are a few faults with it. So firstly, without giving anything away, you do have a supporting cast of Space Wolves. Yeah, or Space Wolves, I should say. You have kind of like a squad of Space Wolves, complete with a Ruin Priest. Now, forgetting my dislike of the Space Wolves, I felt that they were kind of underutilized, and therefore the way they were used made them almost pointless to me. It really felt like they had some merit in how they were used, but I really do feel that they were wasted potential. I would have liked to see more of them. I'd like to see some character development and progression in these guys. And you really only see them a few times after they join the party, as it were. So I'm not going to give anything more away on them. It's just, to me, it felt like a concept that wasn't fully put into action and therefore kind of useless at the end of it. Did they have some effect on the book? Sure. Did they do some kind of cool things? Maybe. But overall, underutilized, in my opinion. Another thing that is just something to take note of is they're fighting against the warp. They're fighting against chaos and demons. And this is the first time, really, the Blood Angels Legion has had to deal with that. And the Horus Heresy is kind of the first time the Imperium is really dealing with enemies in the warp. Never really dealt with it before. So keeping that in mind, things that may be obvious to the reader, because they play 40k or whatever it is, and they know, like, oh, that's whatever, and you just gotta, do whatever to it, it isn't known back then. So it's all new territory. But aside from that, it's chaos. It's not gonna be a constant. It's gonna be a little weird sometimes. And you have that happening here and there in this book. Not a bad thing, but it will leave you sometimes scratching your head and going, really? That really happened right there? And you have to remember that it's chaos. It's not a standard military you're fighting against. It's the raw stuff of emotion and the warp and everything. So, it may think some of it's kind of cheesy, and I will tend to agree with you in certain parts, but overall, it won't detract from the book. So without chewing your ear off too much longer, I'd say it's a good, solid read. It's enjoyable. It can be a pretty quick read as well. And if you're a Blood Angels fan, definitely worth picking up. Even if you don't really care to read about the Horus Heresy time frame that much, it's a great book for a Blood Angels fan. And if you're a Horus Heresy fan, of course you're probably going to read it anyway. It is book number 21, but you don't have to read the other 20 books to read about this, to then read this book. You won't be lost, and it won't give anything away that happened in those 20 prior books. So you can just pick this book right up and start off with this one. There are some books in the series that have prequels or sequels to them. So like the third book, you want to read the first two books before that in proper order. But that's not how it is by and large. So you don't have to worry about that with this book. You can read it without being lost in anything that happened in the 20 books prior, and you can read it without really spoiling anything that's happened in the 20 books prior. And that's really it for Free to Tread. It's worth a shot. If you're a Blood Angels fan and you're thinking, hey, this is cool, the Horus Heresy is kind of cool, but I never really read a 40k book before, I don't know if it's worth my time, give this one a shot. I'd say it's definitely worth trying, especially considering if you like the Blood Angels, you got a pretty cool novel here. But even if you don't, you just like the Horus Heresy, you will enjoy this book. At least I feel you will. And that's really it. So, anyways, thanks for sticking through this ramble. Hope it didn't bore you too much. I keep things low budget around here in case you couldn't tell. And that's it. So until next time, take it easy.